Yes.
Hello,
Hello.
hello. Okay, good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes, quite well.
Great. Okay, I'll turn my volume up a little bit here on this side.
Plan on leveraging what they learned in their own environments. How does it work?
Okay, let me put my headphones in and we'll get started in just a second, everyone. Just about there. And okay, headphones are in. And everyone can hear me okay now?
Yep.
Great. All right. Well, where's everyone calling from? Can I get a couple little feedback from where everybody is today?
Munich, Germany.
From Berlin, Germany.
Los Angeles.
I'm placed in
Nice.
Spain.
Excelente.
Luxembourg.
Okay. All right. Looks like we're getting, go ahead.
Padova, Italy.
Oh, great. We'll get started. I realize people are going to be drifting in for a little bit. And so I think what I'll do is I will go ahead and ask people to mute themselves so that we can make sure we're not making too much noise. Okay, so I'm going to mute everyone, but you're welcome to unmute yourself one at a time or raise your hand. Also, we've got the chat function. I'll be looking at chat if you need me. I don't know that I can get to everyone all the time, but hopefully we'll be able to get as many messages from all of you answered as possible. So thank you all for joining. As you know, my name is Brian Emerson. I'm the Chief Executive Officer and one of the 3 co-founders of Startup Club with my partners Oliver and Olga. Olga unfortunately had a kind of an emergency and was not able to make it today, so I'm her fill-in. And look forward to our being together today. Looks like we're going to have a great turnout and a super conference. So I think most of you know the format for today, where we're going to, I'll do a minute or two about what Startup Club is. We'll then do the presentations. We've got 6 presentations at 5 minutes apiece, followed by 10 minutes of Q&A afterwards. And then we'll follow up at the end with anybody who wants to stick around and network a little bit more. So let me go ahead and start the first video to tell you a little bit about Startup Club. And again, I will be looking to the chat window if anybody can't hear or has a problem. So let's start off with what Startup Club is all about. Again, I'm glad you're all here today. Give me 1 second to get this going. And then I think some of you know about Startup Club, but hopefully this will be a little overview for those that don't. And let's see, I've got to share my screen with you. And share screen. Let's see, so hopefully you can see my screen now, and here's the Startup Club introductory video.
Hey, Brian, we can't actually hear anything, at least on my side.
Okay. Thank you. Let's see. What's my problem? No, so no one could hear anything. Okay, I'm so sorry. Let's see, I've got screen sharing and I'm not on mute, but you can hear me now, just not the video. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Exactly.
Huh. All right. Let's see. That's strange. Let's see. Let me take my headphone out. Let's try it one more time. And oh, wait a minute. Let's see. So we've got. Hold on. Let me try it. Let me try to just start it here and tell me if you hear anything. Let's see if this is any better with the headphones out. Is that any better?
We can hear it. We can hear it now. You may want to crank it up a little bit.
Could you raise the voice?
Okay. You do hear it?
Yeah.
A little faint. You may want to crank it up a little bit, Brian.
Okay. I've got my speakers on 100. Let me figure out if there's another way to do this. There we go. Okay, so thank you. Sorry for the technical glitch there. I appreciate your patience. Okay, now we've got some great presenters coming up, and we're going to start with Danielle and Alessandro, which is PatchAI. Looks like this could really revolutionize their market. So I will, after the video, be taking questions through chat, or you can unmute yourselves. We'll take 10 minutes of questions. So let's start off with PatchAI. And let me know if you have any problems with this. Okay, let's get it started.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Alessandro Monterosso, co-founder and CEO at PatchAI, the first virtual assistant for patient engagement. We are part of the Health PatchAI.
I can hardly understand it. It's just a noise in the background.
Clinical research and drug development process. Standard clinical practice by virtue of focus.
I've got my.
In order to help pharma produce better, affordable, and personalized drugs, and also improve the quality of life of patients. But what do? We do engage patients and collect health valuable data in real time. Why do we do it? We all have seen during the COVID emergency that healthcare systems are burdened, but more specifically, we've seen the problems in the drug development process are more complex and inefficiencies than ever. 1 out of 5,000 molecules reaches the market in the 15 years and cost more than $2 billion per every single month. During this period, clinical studies are conducted to test the drug, and here we experience low engagement. It is nothing else than the collaboration during studies. It brings to high rates of dropouts, low therapy adherence, and huge available healthcare costs. Also, pharma companies are looking to bring to the market precision drugs, and in order to do so, they need to collect real-world data beyond the pill. That's why we have seen a surge into the collection of patient-reported outcomes. But we say bye-bye to the electronic solutions, and we enter the conversational patient-reported outcomes. PatchAI is the first virtual assistant that mimics human conversation, chatting with patients like a friend would do WhatsApp. Our empathetic chatbot chat with patients, reminding them to take their therapy as prescribed, ensuring high level of retention and engagement throughout the clinical trial journey, as well as the clinical pathway in the standard clinical practice. Gamification service, as well as a dashboard to help them comply with the to-do list, statistics, and education on demand. All these data are available for researchers, doctors, but also CROs and pharma companies in real time. We're a medical device classifier and we're compliant with the regulations of the niche market we are targeting. In only 18 months from incorporation, we gathered 2 out of the 5 top pharma companies in the globe as clients and signed partnership with interesting corporates. Every year, there are more than 22,000 new clinical studies globally and over 1,000 pharma companies that we can target. Our engagement engine works by collecting data from patients' behavior and health statuses and implement personalized engagement strategies via conversations. During the COVID emergencies, we've seen a surge into the demand, but also the need for new solutions into the standard clinical practice. That's why we increased our offering by targeting pharma with the new patient support programs. And we also added 2 additional features, video consultations and COVID modules that allows patients to self-triage for COVID symptoms. We do target pharma companies that pay us around €50 per patient per month, and we offer our solution for free to doctors and patients. Why we're better than others? We do customize for every single pharma companies, but we reach an individual level of personalization machine learning. So after the study initiates, every single patient will have his or her own PatchAI. We're a team of doctors, nurses, scientists, and tech nerds. What do we want to take from this market? We want to gather around 80 projects in order to take revenues for 52 million in around 4 years. Are we truly engaging patients? We can say yes. During the first 4 months of 2020, patients using PatchAI are compliant on over 95% of the cases. Also, during the COVID emergency, we welcomed Smart Health Companion, the first patient support program of Roche, powered and offered by PatchAI. Now, we're also fundraising, and we're looking for 1.7 million to reach till the Series A, foreseen in 2021, and half of it has been committed by new investors. Don't wait. Enter with us the new era of data collection with patient engagement at every step. Thank you for the attention.
Great. Super, Alessandro. Great job. And can I assume you are unmuted right now?
Yes.
Great. Talk to us a little bit about, the first question that came in is, can you tell a little bit more about your management, the background of your management? I know you went over there a little bit quick, looked like a lot of great experience. Tell us a little bit about the managers and kind of how you came to this, if you would, based on their backgrounds and your experience.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. So the 4 founders are in the management of the company. I'm a clinical research nurse by background, specialized in applied research and then in oncology and in pediatrics. And then I took an MBA specialized in healthcare management at the SDA Bocconi Business School, where I met most of the founders, the 3 out of 4 of them. And the other manager is Kumara Palanibel, is a medical doctor by background who did some research in India before coming in Italy to take the same master in the business school where we met each other. Then he worked in digital solutions at Roche Diagnostics before leaving for taking part as business development head here at PatchAI. So he's in charge of actually the entire business development department. We have then Filip Ivancic, the other co-founder, is a pharmacologist by background who comes after a personal exit, family exit of a pharma in Serbia. He worked previously in operations and business development in a pharma company. After taking the MBA in SDA Bocconi, specialized for healthcare, where we met each other, is in charge right now of operations. Then we have Daniele Farro here with me. Is a nurse by background. He has more than 10 years of experience in administration as a nurse director in a nursing home, and right now is in charge of administration and procurement.
Great, thank you very much. Very exciting. Sounds like a great team. Can you talk, the next question comes in about data security, and I know different countries have different types of data security, for instance, like HIPAA in the US. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you address those and comply with those?
Yeah, so as for data security, we leverage the security provided by IBM on one side, Data Cloud, and on the other side, AWS. We have our own virtual clouds. Everything is on cloud. Then we are compliant. If we run a clinical trial or a project in Europe, we are compliant also on all the GDPR compliances. And not only that, but also some of the US compliance regulations like HIPAA and CFR Part 21, Part 11. So we are actually compliant with all the requirements to work in the niche market. And we are also a medical device class 1, so we are compliant with the ISO 13485. And right now we are certifying also for 27001 ISO compliance. So we are fully compliant to work into the market, and we've been audited also by Roche Global and Novartis Global, and successfully passed the external audits.
Excellent, very exciting. Can you talk to us a little bit about your use of the funds and where that money would go? It sounds like you've got some pre-commitments. And also, let me mention, I am seeing in the chats that some people are having trouble with the voiceover. So I'll try to speak up, and hopefully whatever issues, we'll get through this. So I'm sorry for some of you. Others, it sounds like it's fine. So I'll look into that. But anyway, go ahead, if you would, Alessandro.
Yeah, okay. So our funds for the 2020 and 2021, as you see from the screen, will be mostly used still for R&D. And what we're going to do for R&D, we're going to actually scale and the software in order to be as much plug and play as possible. As we have seen, one of our added value and unique value that also represents a barrier somehow is the customization of the product for every single client. So what's the aim of the 2020 is to actually build, reinforce the product in a way in which it will reduce as much as possible the cost of sales and the customization times. And this is expected by the first quarter of 2021. This also means complete internalization of the R&D team. We have now around 10 FTEs in R&D. And this is how the funds will be used. Beyond R&D, 50% more or less of the money we're gonna use of this round is business development. We have right now Kumara and one intern working, but in order to reach the business objectives of 2020 and 2021, we need to hire all those figures, as you see, a key AM, a PM, and a marketing manager for the BD department. And we're in the process of hiring these people. The objective is to reach 25 FTEs by the end of the year, and the money will give us around 15 cash months, and this represents a bridge to the Series A.
Great. Okay, well, that's very exciting. Thank you very much. Do you have kind of some final comments like to share with the group?
Yeah, on comment is that beyond the fact that right now more or less half of the round has been committed, and we're reopening now for the second tranche, is that this year we actually the last year we didn't expect any revenue. We closed at 50K revenue, getting Novartis as the first client around 1 year in advance. This year our plans were very optimistic with $500,000 in revenue, so 10x compared to the last year. And thanks to a new contract and the new client that we acquired, this Roche, we ensured around 2/3 of these revenues already, and potentially we can can also overreach this milestone.
Excellent. Well, great. Well, thank you very much for that presentation. Very exciting. We will be able to send that to the audience after the conference. Anyone who asks us, just let us know, let me know, and I'll be happy to share the, make sure I make connections and share that. All right, let's move on now to Nikolai with Paywoke, which looks like it has the possibility of really changing the banking industry. So let me cue that up, and we will hear about changes in the how Paywoke can really do a great job. Okay. Hold on a second. Okay, just 1 second for me here. Let's see. So just.
Hello, can you hear me? Sorry. Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello? Hi, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes.
Hi, my name is.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Adam, can you hear me? Okay, yep.
Yes.
So I have a question for Daniel and Alexandro. Is it the right time to ask? Or?
Well, we just wrapped up with Q&A, but why don't you ask a question, and then next time, if you'll put a question in chat, then I can introduce you. So that's the way we'll do it here in the future. If you'll give me a chat, then I'll open your mic up, but go ahead. We'll do one more question. Go ahead. Yes.
So my question is in the chat.
Well, right, yeah, in the future, I'm taking questions off the chat that are sent to me. But if you have one more question, go ahead.
Yeah, so the question is developing a public blockchain-based security system compliant with international GDPR policies part of the R&D plans?
No, that's not part of the project.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you all. Great. All right, so we're back to Paywoke, and let me get that started here. And let's see. So I'm screen sharing, so hopefully everybody can see this. And Paywoke, here we go. And let me know through chat if you have any problems.
Some of the reasons we have identified are the complex and costly integration with different service providers, as well as the high cost of digital transaction. In the same time, in the world of open banking, we are still lacking major fintech players to provide their services outside the standard banks. And this is due to the lengthy and expensive process to acquire a payment license. Customers utilizing current open banking solutions are lacking major product innovation and advanced technologies. And in order to address all those challenges, we have created one SaaS platform that provides seamless integration to raise complexity and reduce the cost and best price per digital transaction. For our B2B open banking customers, we will provide not only the platform, but also a fully-fledged payment license that will allow to launch their products and services within the EU and focus on their core business rather than on compliance and regulations. Our B2C customers will benefit from artificial intelligence to help them optimize their day-to-day finance management and blockchain technology to ensure security and transparency. The market size where currently we are operating is estimated on approximately 10 billion euro, and the forecast to grow.
I'm sorry, there is no voice. I don't hear anything.
Right, you need to turn up your microphone sensitivity. We can barely hear you.
Okay.
Our business model includes one-time license fee, annual subscription, and fee per digital transaction for our digital services, freemium and a monthly subscription for open banking B2B solution, and a freemium and a monthly subscription for B2C open banking solution. Some of the competitors we have identified both in the B2B and B2C sector are able to our competitive advantage our flexible product and a payment license, the team experience, and the fact that we are based in Luxembourg, which brings strategic location, stable political landscape, and great cybersecurity. looking to fundraise in order to finalize development and integration, scale up infrastructure in the cloud, set up the sales and marketing teams, and also make ourselves compliant, last but not least, being operationally ready to onboard our first customers. The financial forecast for the next 5 years is to reach a net profit of approximately 5.5 million euro. Last but not least, please meet the team, myself, Oleg Prokopiev, Alexander Yovchuk, and Nikola Tanev, all of us having more than 18 years of experience in the financial sector, delivering projects for major companies like ING, BNP Paribas, and projects for UNICEF, Brown, Nestle, A1, and so on. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Nikolai, are you on with us now?
Here I am.
Nikolai, are you unmuted?
Yeah, you should hopefully be able to hear me now.
Yes. Okay, good. Thank you. Great. I can hear you fine. Okay, I'm going to be looking in the chat for questions, and we'll get to as many as we can. The first one that came into me was, can you talk a little bit about the payment license process and how that's so challenging for so many people or companies?
So I earlier even today attended the conference here in Luxembourg with the authority, and there were a lot of companies being established in UK, and they asked the same question quite so many times. So the answer is usually it takes 12 to 18 months to acquire a license, and this is not for granted. So even if you submit all the paperwork that is required and you go through the process, there is no guarantee that you're going to get the license. So if you're a fintech company or a challenger bank and you want to start your activities in the next couple of months, this is kind of a showstopper. So you cannot wait from one hand side, or even if you go through the entire process, still it might be not the case that you are successfully granted with the license. And a recent example, especially here in Luxembourg, a big name on the market, which are really quite famous, they try to acquire a license and they got refused. So even if you're a big player, doesn't mean that you still can operate on the market.
Okay, great. Very exciting. The next question that's come in from chat is, can you talk to us a little bit about, everybody wants to know about COVID and if there's an effect and how this works on us. Are there any advantages or pros and cons with the whole kind of stay-at-home lockdown and what you're doing?
Very good question. It's actually helped us a lot to shape the platform and the market. Maybe before that, before the COVID, everybody knew, and pretty much every organization knew that at one moment of time they need to digitalize their services, but it was somewhere on the roadmap, always something else urgent to be done or a critical product to be launched on the market. And COVID-19 actually showed all the organizations, and literally, as this is a global pandemic, that digitalization is not just a matter of something that you can postpone, but there is a demand, because otherwise, yeah, you have great product, but you cannot serve it or offer it to your customers without digitalizing it.
Got it. Good. Okay, great. Can I open it up to anyone else who has not had a chance to put in a chat question, but would like to ask a question or two of Nikolai? Anybody else that would like to unmute? You'd need to unmute and ask your question at this time if you would like to ask a question. Otherwise, I'll keep going with chat. Okay, hearing no takers right now. Nikolai, tell us a little bit about.
What is your USP?
I'm sorry, go ahead. Do we have a question? Ganesh?
What is your USP asset?
Sorry, could you repeat that one?
Yeah, I just want to know what is your unique selling proposition, USP?
Yes, thank you for that question. So the biggest advantage of the platform is that it's more like, you should see it as a marketplace for digital services. So instead of going to different providers and performing multiple integrations, you go to one place and you perform single integration, and then you can use all the services that are already available on the market. In the second phase, the platform will support the organizations to actually expand to different countries. So if you're operating, for example, in US, but you want to go to Europe or vice versa, or expand within Europe, it could be the case that your current digital provider is not recognized by the authorities. And then you need to go again through a new integration, and which could be a painful process and long lasting. With the platform, you integrate once, and then we support you with your expansion, because then the integration is a matter of days rather than months or a year or more.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ganesh. Would anybody else like to unmute and ask a question at this time? Anyone else that would like to ask a question, you can either do so on chat and I will ask it anonymously, or you can unmute and ask Nikolai directly. Okay, hearing no other questions, Nikolai, could you give us a little bit more information on your plan? What else would you like to tell us today?
So I would like to also to add that one other advantage of the platform is onboarding many customers. Actually, we are going to use the power of the crowd to reduce the overall cost per digital transaction. So we will be in a position to offer price per digital transaction, which is much more competitive than even if you go to the provider themselves. And another point I would like to add is the platform is to be launched. MVP is expected next week. I will be more than happy to share a link so everybody can try by themselves how the platform will work. We are now getting more and more requests from other companies like digital banks or companies similar to Stripe actually to join us, because they see the advantage of being part of a digital marketplace, if I may call it like this. Then the users actually can pick up and choose which services that they want rather than selecting and going to various places.
Great, very exciting. Well, thank you, Nikolai, very much. Great presentation, and we'll look forward to getting information to all the participants about that. Again, I know we had a couple comments about the audio a little bit low on the videos. I know I've turned up everything I can on my end, but it sounds like the Q&A is good. So again, happy to send out the presentation to anybody who didn't get it 100% here. All right, let's go on to UrbanGround. And Pranil, are you with us? I'll go ahead and start your presentation if you're here. Let's see, so we'll do, give me 1 second to pull this up. And let's see here, just a second, just about there. Downloads. And UrbanGround, great. Okay, well, this is very exciting. What a great team you've pulled together. Pranil? Okay, let me put this on hold 1 second, and I'm gonna go share my screen. And,
yes, Brian, I'm on.
Okay, good, good, thanks. Okay, so let me share my screen and get it started here. Sorry for the delay, 1 second. Just let me, just about there, sorry. Okay, why isn't this working? Just a minute. Share screen. Well, sorry for the delay here. Let's see, Pranil, full screen and share screen. Okay, sharing screen, and let's go back to the video now. UrbanGround. Okay, great, great rental concept. Here we go.
Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Pranil. I'm super excited at this opportunity to present UrbanGround to you. We're in 2020 and are talking about colonizing Mars to set up the next city in a decade or so. However, back on Earth, the ground reality is completely different. It's still a nightmare to rent a flat online when moving to a new city or country. I'm not referring to holiday rental, but rather medium-term rental housing from 6 to 60 months. If you're moving between cities as a working professional, say Munich to Berlin, only the discovery process is on. That is going into a classified portal and applying for the property, while the rest of the process is still offline. If you're moving between countries, say Paris to Zurich, it's bonkers. First, there are language barriers. To somehow get past that, your credit documents from your home country are not accepted by most landlords. Europe does not have geographical boundaries, but unfortunately, as you know, your credit history still does. Rentals are a two-sided equation. We cannot solve the tenant's problem without addressing the property owner. Of all the numerous prerequisites a property owner has, the only thing they really care about is the rent. Guaranteed monthly rental income, and we offer just that. Receive monthly rents on time with zero operational effort, while we take care of the rest. We sign a rental contract with the property owner and become a pseudo landlord, thus giving us exclusive access to the asset. This allows us to provide a fully digital platform for tenants for renting homes in just a few clicks. For us to provide such a frictionless experience, another aspect needs to be addressed: operations. End-to-end tenancy is a complex process. We pushed ourselves to rent out one apartment each day over a span of 3 months. We then use this experience to carefully map out every single step of the process. 90 unique steps. We're now building a full stack technology platform to digitize every one of these steps, allowing us to operate with minimal resources and maximum efficiency. Since the launch of the product in April 2018, we have housed 250 tenants from over 72 countries, and boy, do they love our product. Please check out some of our actual testimonial videos on our homepage and Trustpilot reviews. We've been called by a few as the best landlord in Berlin. In terms of supply, we work with the best of the class real estate companies like JLL and Engel Volker. Amongst others, Adler Real Estate is one of our top clients, who also happens to be the largest institutional property owner in Europe. In terms of traction, we are actively managing 175 units under our portfolio. We have signed agreements for another 1,600 units, yes, 1,600 units currently under construction and available for occupancy over the next 18 months. We have grown 400% in revenue over the last 8 months. Like COVID, we have doubled our revenues in the last 6 months. And in the next 6 months, we'll be doubling yet again and soaring right into profitability. So how do we monetize? We get into a 120-month lease with the property owner by signing a rental contract. In the process, hedging the rental price of the asset for the entire duration. We use rental data of over 130,000 properties in order to arrive at the rental price. We then add value into the apartment and rent it out at a margin. The spread between the main lease and sublease is 10%, averaging to 155 euros per month per unit. Over 120 months, this amounts to 18,600 euros. In terms of unit economics, the cost of acquisition of a single tenant is 580 euros, including operational and marketing costs. Over the lifetime of the property of 120 months, we have 4 tenancies and hence a gap of 2,500 euros, while we make 18,600 euros. That's an 800% margin. I want you to take a moment and imagine this. Over the next 5 years, we have 100,000 properties under our portfolio in top 50 urban areas. Each property generates 155 euros a month. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's an annual recurring rental margin of 186 million euro or 1.86 billion euro of a lifetime value. Similar models have been validated in the US and Asia. Europe is an open turf awaiting to be dominated. This is the perfect opportunity for us to go grab it. I've been a techie for 15 years and currently take care of product engineering, strategy, and finance. My co-founder Alessandro is from a commercial background. He's responsible for business development, operations, and account management. Impressive pipeline of 1,600 units. All credits to Alessandro for driving that tremendous growth. We've cracked the supply, demand, underwriting, and digitization of the entire end-to-end flow, achieving product market fit. We're now scaling our product beyond Berlin into Frankfurt. We're looking for a seed capital of 1.7 million euros and looking to close around really fast. Last with investors here in joining us to see how homes are rented in and rented out in Europe. Thank you, and happy to answer should you have any questions.
Great, thank you, Praneel. Very exciting. You obviously have a fantastic background. Can you tell us just a little bit more about that while we start to get some additional questions on the chat or others that want to unmute? Go ahead, Praneel.
Thanks a lot, Oliver. Brian. So on my background, personally, I've been a techie for 15 years. And in my last startup, I was working for a fintech startup leading around 22 engineers. Before that, I was working with cloud security analytics. So my background is mostly from a tech side of things.
Great. Super. Now, would anybody at this point like to unmute and ask a question? If not, we can go on to the chats. Well, let's see. One question. Go
What
ahead.
is your-
Did someone?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, what's your go-to-market strategy?
We're already, hi Ganesh, thanks for the question. So we're already in the market right now. So we currently have 175 apartments under our portfolio, and we have contracts for another 1,600 apartments, which is under construction. So we're making 18,250 euros of a monthly recurring margin right now.
Great. Who else would like to ask a question? Tell us then more. Another question that came in, Pranil, was about the Berlin market and some of the particulars of Germany. I know we've got some German callers on the line today. Can you talk a little bit more about some of those challenges of renting? I saw some of them in your presentation. Maybe you want to elaborate a little more?
Come again, Oliver. I'm sorry, Brian, just the last part. I couldn't get the question right.
Some of the challenges in the German market to renting.
Okay. One of the major challenges in terms of renting, right, is like, I mean, the language barrier. As you know, when a person is moving between countries, there's a huge language barrier. And then two is like rentals is something when which the landlord needs documentation, right? Because when someone is moving from a different country or so they do not have any local documentation. So that's another challenge that we are trying to solve. When people are moving between cities inside Germany itself, everything is offline in nature. So you just go to an online, a classifieds portal, for instance, and then you apply for a property. From there onwards, everything is offline. And we saw that exactly in the COVID situation, when which a lot of real estate companies, have properties with them, but then they're not able to rent out because they work mostly offline in nature. So we have all the tech components built such that properties can be rented out completely online and digitally.
Great. Okay, well, that sounds fantastic. Any other questions, or should we continue on with chat? Go ahead if someone would like to ask a question. Let's talk more then about the landlord process. You mentioned in the presentation that the landlords really are only focused on the money. They want the money. Tell us a little bit about how you ensure they get the money. Is there an escrow, or just through the nature of the contract, you're able to guarantee them the monthly revenue stream? Is that correct?
Yeah, very good question. Yes, I mean, of all the 100 different things a landlord really cares about is the rental income, monthly rental income, right? Because there is a cost. He probably has a mortgage on it. The mortgage is 1,000 euros, and then all I care is about okay, I need to get my monthly rents. The way we do it is we have rental data of around 130,000 properties just for Berlin alone. Across Germany, we have data of about 250,000 properties. So what we do is we analyze the market, we analyze the price, and then we offer them a price which is 5 to 7% less than the market price, and we manage the asset. And how do we do that? We get into a contract with them, and we become the pseudo landlord, and then in turn, we rent it out at a margin. So we add value into the asset, furnish it, add utilities, stage it, make it look beautiful, and then rent it out to tenants. That's what we primarily do, yeah.
Super, excellent. Thank you so much for that clarification. We have a chat question, and that is, can you tell us how this model differs from other companies such as Airbnb?
So Airbnb is mostly for holiday rentals, right? So this is when I'm going for a vacation. So this is anywhere between a couple of days to a couple of, maybe maximum of 1 month. What we are talking about is medium-term rentals, 6 to 60 months. So when, let's say you're living in Munich and now you want to move to Berlin, you wouldn't book an Airbnb and live over there, right? So what you need is an apartment with anywhere between 6 to 60 months. So that's what we do. So it's completely different to Airbnb.
Okay, thank you for that distinction. We had a couple questions about that. Another one is, can you talk about the partnerships with the big real estate firms and how that's going?
So we've got like partnerships with best of the class real estate firms. One is we've got partnership with JLL. JLL, as you know, is one of the largest real estate distributor or seller in the world. We have partnership with Engel Volkers. We also have partnership with buy and hold or build and hold real estate firm. One of them I already mentioned in the presentation, which is called as Adler Real Estate. They are one of the largest institutional landlord in Europe. We have partnerships with at least like around 10 large real estate firms who give us properties from time to time.
Super. Okay, anyone want to unmute and ask a question directly? Otherwise, we'll continue on with chat. Okay, nobody at this point wants to make a direct question. Let's see, back to the questions on chat. Let's see, do you tell us about your relationship? I know we talked about the property owners and the real estate companies. How about individual homeowners? Do you deal with them one at a time, or do you tend to deal mainly through the big real estate companies?
We initially started off dealing with like, when we launched our product, we initially started off dealing with like individual landlords. But then the sales cycle is a very, very long sales cycle. You know, the amount of time that we are spending to explain our business model and then the amount of time, effort that we're putting in results in one contract. And that's where we pivoted our model to a B2B2C. So that is, we directly deal with businesses, large firms, and then we take the properties from them. We do deal with individual landlords in case like, you know, when which like, say like someone like JLL or an Engel Volker is coming up with a new project, you know, which is selling to investors. So we partner with them, we give them rental guarantee. So when the sales guy is selling the property to an individual buyer, they already have the UrbanGround rental offer. So we do deal with individual landlords through these large partnerships. And this is also a strategy because this is how we can scale. And the cost of acquisition is also very, very low for us.
Excellent. Thank you very much. One other question that came in through chat is, how do you plan to tackle the various legislation in all those geographies? I realize that's a huge question, but maybe you want to kind of give us an overview of how you think through the legislation aspect.
Yeah, that's a very good question again. So we started off our business model, you know, our product in Germany, right? So Germany is one of the most bureaucratic and then the most regulated environment that you can think of. And we have cracked that. So yes, the legislation in every different geography might be different. So we might have to tweak the model. But what we think and what we are super confident about is like, if you're able to crack this model in Germany, it should work seamlessly, more or less, in most of the other geographies.
Great. Okay, any last questions before we wrap up on this exciting concept? Hearing no one, Praneel, would you like to give us the last couple sentences about why you'd like to get people involved?
Absolutely. So, I mean, this, as I said, like, you know, the whole, you know, this is a fantastic market. As most of you know, real estate is the largest asset class in the world, right? And then Europe is a massive market, you know, residential real estate. And there is no one, and, you know, it's absolutely an open turf out there for us to go and capture. We have cracked the demand, we have cracked the supply, we have cracked the underwriting. Now, the only thing that is left for us is to scale. And we're looking forward for investors at this point of time. We're looking to raise 1.7 million euros as our seed capital. We have 1,600, we have contracts for 1,600 apartments that are coming up. So I'd love to connect to investors as part of this forum, you know, like even offline after this. And yeah, so if you buy real estate, you need to think about UrbanGround. If you rent apartments, you need to think UrbanGround. So we're going to change how apartments are going to be rented in and rented out all across Europe moving forward. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Praneel. Fantastic job. Very exciting. I wish I were a renter in your area. I'd love to use you. All right, we're going to move on now to Mainbot. That is a firm run by Boris Kessler. Boris, I understand, cannot join us today. So hopefully there'll be another representative of the company to take questions. The website there is mainbot.me, mainbot.me. Looks like it could really revolutionize young children's interactions with toys and learning. So let me pull that up for you. Just 1 second. And Mainbot coming up.
Say hello to Winky, your new friend. At Mainbot, we have created Winky to motivate and stimulate children through educational games. Winky helps children aged 5 to 12 to learn the fundamentals of robotics, artificial intelligence, and programming while having fun with the family. Learning with Winky is a unique and exciting experience. It begins with the assembly, which makes it possible to understand what it is composed of and how it works, and continues with the editor application Winky Lab. Using a visual programming language, children learn to code while creating their own edutainment apps. More than 20 create-your-own apps are already available, including the alarm clock, the hot potato game, or red light, green light. They improve cognitive abilities in children: speed, creativity, problem solving, logic, adaptability, concentration, memory, and attention. Winky's apps can be played independently and do not require a tablet nor a screen. They can be enjoyed individually or with the family. Winky is built to last and evolve with children as they grow up. Several accessories are already available to change Winky's appearance and functionality, and others are being created. Thanks to its unique artificial intelligence, Winky develops its own interactions with the environment and encourages learning throughout the day. We have proved with more than 4,000 families that children learn faster and easier with Winky, but above all that, they enjoy the learning experience. A team of experts in artificial intelligence, robotic, gaming, design, and animation, as well as a network of business associates and industrialization partners, gave life to Winky, the first educational robot made in France.
Tout a démarré quand on a appris, ma femme et moi, qu'on allait devenir parents. De là, très rapidement, on a voulu préparer notre petite fille au monde de demain. Étant convaincu qu'il faudra parler l'informatique demain comme il faut parler l'anglais aujourd'hui, Winky est prêt à être livré chez vous. Rejoignez l'aventure, précommandez Winky.
Give your kids a robot to learn, create, love, and play. Winky, the first educational and evolutive robot made in France.
Wow. Very exciting. Okay, so now is there a representative of the company on the line that would like to address questions? I know that Boris unfortunately could not be with us. And it sounds like the other representatives were not able to make it. So we will just move on. I'll make sure everybody gets more information about that. Very exciting concept in education. All right, let's go on to ChavaWind. And Hagen is going to talk to us about a very interesting innovation in wind power. As many of you know, my home is totally off-grid, solar and wind. So I rely on wind more in the winter than in the summer. And what I think he's doing with the vertical polarization is very exciting. So Hagen, are you with us today?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, great. Yeah, perfect quality on the audio there. Let me go ahead
Awesome.
and get the presentation up.
All right.
Okay. And by the way, everyone, ChavaWind won first prize in our business plan competition a couple weeks ago in New York. Had 11 stiff competitors and did a phenomenal job and won the grand prize. So thanks so much, Hagen, for you and your team for doing such a great job. Here we go.
Sure. Thank you.
Today we're going to introduce a very new product, which is an innovative new vertical axis wind turbine. People deploy those products close to the point of usage at schools, at warehouses, and small communities.
From the very first beginning, I thought these guys are inventing something which could change the world.
And now through techniques and material processes, we have the ability to take an idea that was good on its surface 50 years ago and now take it and innovate it and turn it into something else.
So we definitely wanted to incorporate a very simple design, using the latest technology to make it efficient, make it easy to maintain. We use a lot of standard materials in the market. We outfitted our mast with a tilt system that comes down. A single guy with a pickup truck can come out and maintain his wind turbine.
There's people that need power that can't get power, and I believe that this turbine can really fit that mold perfectly. It's small, reliable, but it works and it looks nice and people can get close to it.
And so we're closer to people by nature. That means it has to be something people like. People don't want to put anything on their backyard if they don't like it. We developed a project people are raving about. Everybody who sees our wind turbine wants one, basically. And that's a product that's not just aesthetically pleasing, so people want it, but it's also functional and solidly engineered.
They have a good concept, they have good people, they are good and well-experienced businessmen, and that is, from our point of view, the most important issue to become a successful story for this project.
I mean, when I look at a wind turbine spinning, I see freedom.
We're going to be a pioneer with a vertical axis wind turbine in this class being internationally certified, and we can basically go to any country in the world with that certification. We're extremely happy with the outcome, especially with all the people's feedback that comes from raving this product.
And therefore, I'm very proud to be part of this team and very much hope that we will bring that to a great, great success for all of us on this platform.
My name is Hagen Ruff. I'm the founder and CEO of ChavaWind LLC. We've developed a product that will transform the market for clean on-site power generation. I want to use this 3-minute presentation to touch on the following key points. What makes this technology unique? Who will be buying it? And last but not least, what business model are we applying to make money with it? Full presentations will be on our website, chavawind.com, in the downloads section. Our product is an answer to current challenges of the traditional large wind industry, which can only operate in large-scale grid feed mode with sufficient transmission capacity to the consumption hubs. They only get compensated on wholesale power pricing, whereas on-site generation with our product reduces energy costs at consumer retail rates, which could be by multiples higher than wholesale. Our product can work with or without the utility grid. Large wind cannot. We're basically first in class with an innovative vertical axis wind turbine that meets the aesthetic and technological customer demands for an on-site generation product in the global market. As you can imagine, customer demands are different when people have to live or work close to such a unit. And on this slide, you can see an example of our on-site hybrid power generation using solar PV in combination with wind. And on this next slide, you can see key specs. I just wanted to highlight a few things. Turbine is rated and capped at 25 kilowatts maximum power output. The annual energy production is about 60 megawatt hours per year in good wind areas. And it's also designed to hold up to tropical cyclones of up to 175 miles an hour, which is critical for target markets like Caribbean islands with frequent hurricanes, the American Midwest with frequent tornadoes, or Southeast Asia with frequent typhoons. And the total height is about 100 feet. Here's another huge advantage, which is the hydraulic tilt system. No cranes needed for installation or maintenance, hugely reducing ongoing costs. We're basically a technology innovator and do not want to be a manufacturing company. We've distributed the manufacturing process to dozens of suitable companies around the world, but we continue to aggregate the finished product. Distribution, installation, and maintenance will be done by licensing partners who buy the product from us through our current component manufacturing partners, or they acquire a manufacturing license for certain components to create local jobs. Regarding financials, we've created a bottom-up market analysis and projected sales figures per country. Overall, we're projecting to sell around 200 units in the first year worldwide and grow this number to roughly 160 units per month in year 5, which amounts to about 200 million revenue and an EBITDA of 36 million. In summary, we have developed and certification tested a product that's ready for mass production that will transform the on-site power generation market. We This took about 6.5 months, almost 7 years, and we're therefore completely free of any external debt. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Great, Hagen. Fantastic presentation there. So talk to me a little bit about, as I'm starting to get questions here on chat, tell me a little bit about the target market. In other words, we talked about it's too big for my personal home use. What's the right, is it a small community? Help us understand the main target market.
Right. So as I said in my answer on chat, basically, I mean, it's not a rooftop product. If you look at the annual energy production, which really is the measure of a product like that, we're looking at about 60 megawatt hours in good wind areas, which, you know, compares to about an average of 3,500 kilowatt hours or 3 megawatt hours per German household, as an example. And so it's not geared towards a rooftop. It's much larger than that. So we're targeting businesses, little industrial parks, small communities, buildings, warehouses, military installations, for example. But, you know, again, small communities, new developments, you know, can share the output of a wind turbine across multiple households as well. But again, it's too big for an individual household. And you know, we still have to differentiate. I mean, we're larger than a rooftop, but we don't belong into the large wind, the big wind category, which feeds into the grid only. We can run our wind turbine off grid. It's an on-site generation asset versus big wind turbines can only run mostly away from large communities in a grid feed mode where they get compensated by wholesale pricing, whereas we offset retail pricing. And as some of you know, in Germany, consumer electricity rates are sky high.
Super. Now, anybody want to unmute and ask a question at this point, or we'll keep on with the chats? All right, let's continue on with the chat, some of the chat questions. Hagen, I mentioned earlier the idea of the vertical versus the horizontal polarization of wind turbines. Can you tell us why yours better?
So there's obviously, you know, pros and cons, and you know, people always been looking at vertical axis wind turbines. The main difference really is vertical axis wind turbines have a smaller footprint. They don't have to turn into the wind. They take wind from all directions, especially in smaller elevations with smaller on-site wind generation. You have changing wind directions all the time, so they don't have to turn into the wind. They take wind from all sides. But they're also, they don't kill birds. They, you know, because birds can see the silhouette, versus on horizontal axis wind turbines, they come and don't see the profile, get chopped up. And you know, and then the other thing is they're typically quieter because the tip speed of the blades as they turn around is slower than the outer tip of a horizontal propeller. They don't visually look as intimidating. They look more aesthetic, and so they will find more acceptance in small communities or closer to people in general. Could be a business as well. And so the idea of a vertical axis wind turbine is not new for a long time. There have been some inherent technical challenges that, you know, were even taken on by the Department of Energy back in the late 70s, early 80s, and they determined that blade shape is sort of the best vertical axis that can be done, but at the time they didn't have the carbon composite materials to make it happen. So we studied hundreds of pages of those challenges, and we went through an engineering project to basically knock them out one by one. And we have now successfully passed all the certification testing, even in very, very windy weather in the American Midwest. So it was an engineering challenge. We passed it. We're going to be the first in market with a certified turbine of that class, basically.
Super. Thank you for that. Another question on chat is, what is the cost of energy compared to the larger 2 to 5 megawatt windmills?
Yeah, so basically the cost is, of course, we can't compare with the economy of scale of a multi-megawatt wind turbine. So we produce power at a higher cost per kilowatt hour. But again, and we're looking at about, depends on the wind area. I mean, the wind goes in a cubed mathematical function. So higher wind exponentially increases the output. So we got to make sure we deploy them in good wind areas. And of course, the cost of power will determine the ROI, but we're looking at anywhere between 5 and 10, 12 cents per kilowatt hour of our cost. Again, depends on the wind area and some other factors, like the construction cost of the foundation depends on regions where they get deployed, but that's about the range. And we have like an LOI sheet where we basically lay out all the costs, initial investment, ongoing maintenance, and then we're assuming that after a certain period of time, we could do an overhaul and continue with the wind turbine for another period of time. So we have a model that shows the cost per kilowatt hour, but we're not in the couple of cents where like large wind turbines produce, but again, they only get compensated at very low wholesale rates, and then you got to feed them into the grid, especially if you look at offshore. That can be very expensive, and then it has to be distributed to the consumer. So there's multiple layers from the generation of large wind turbines till it gets to the outlet of a consumer, whereas we basically directly offset retail cost.
Great explanation. Thanks so much.
Sure. And then there's another question about birds. So birds are basically, again, birds fly into horizontal axis wind turbines because they don't see the profile or they can't extrapolate the speed of the tips on the outer tips when they rotate. They can, and there's lots of projects that have researched that issue. Horizontal axis wind turbines, they do kill birds, vertical axis don't. Now, I don't think bird kill issue is a huge thing because birds also fly into static buildings that don't move, and the by far largest killer of birds are cats. But again, you know, there is nature preserves where bird kill is a big issue, and you know, there is absolutely no evidence that vertical axis wind turbines kill any birds. So there's no need to basically shield the wind turbine from debris. Now, other flying debris, it's an issue. So, for example, we're down here in Miami. We have hurricanes, and hurricanes they kick off debris. If it's a bad one, we did have one with about 130 miles an hour, 200 kilometers an hour wind gusts, and so people ask us, do you tilt it down? And we say no, we're going to leave it up because, you know, if you go under 10 meters, you have a lot more debris flying around. Whereas if you leave it up, which, you know, our wind turbine is structurally built for, you avoid most of the debris that could hit the blades. Basically, if any debris hits the mast, it's a steel mast, there's not an issue. But if it hits the blades, you could sustain some damages.
Great. Would anybody like to unmute at this point to ask a direct question?
Yes, I would like to ask a question, if possible. My name is Filippo.
Yes,
Yeah,
Filippo, go ahead.
How are you?
Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me again?
I can hear you okay, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was extremely insightful. I have been researching the company while you were presenting, and ChavaWind.com is a great green technology player. I'm personally a founder of a solar energy startup. I'm currently supporting as a consultant, external consultant, company called Enact Systems in California, and we're looking for, well, not acquisitions, but, you know, early stage investments. So I have two questions for you.
Sure.
I didn't understand 510 watts per kilowatt hour.
I'm sorry, the cost per kilowatt hour, or?
Yeah, 5 to 10 per kilowatt hour.
Yes, so
I understand the unit economics.
That is exactly what it is, and it depends on the wind. I mean, if you're interested, send me an email. You could either go to our website, send it to info@chavawind.com, or to me personally. I will send you the spreadsheet that shows all the underlying assumptions of those calculations, basically.
That would be great. And I couldn't understand, unfortunately. Sorry, I couldn't understand what you guys are looking for in terms of funding, if there is any requirement.
Yes, we are looking for a final round of funding, and so if you would like to discuss that further, again, we could take that offline. I was told that we shouldn't discuss funding modalities on this forum right now by Brian, so I'd be happy to discuss what we're offering at the moment, basically, and what we're looking for.
That is great, and congratulations for the technology. It's a beautiful product, and I would definitely use it for my farmhouse one day. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent, great.
Appreciate
that. I look forward to hearing from you. Send me an email, please, and then I'll be happy to send you the information, and maybe we can set up a chat.
That's perfect. I'll send you an email straight away. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you so much.
And thanks. Have a good day, guys. Bye. Thanks.
Thanks.
All right. Anybody else want to unmute at this point to ask a direct question? Okay, let's see. Hagen, would you want to talk just a little bit of an overview about maybe in either valuation model or what investors might look forward to? Is this debt or equity? I realize you can go into great specifics when someone asks you directly, but I didn't know if you just had kind of an overview you wanted to share with us.
Sure. I mean, I can just give the highlights, which I don't think would break any rules. So, I mean, we've been investing. Michael is also on the call, myself, about $6.5 million in the product development. We have no external debt, so it's basically founder funded completely, which gives us a good situation at this time. We're not having any debt hanging over us. Even if there's a delay through COVID, it doesn't really affect us because, again, we don't have external debt. We're looking for a final round of funding to go into market now that we've successfully passed all the certification testing of $3 million basically, and we're offering 20% equity in the company, the global holding. We're also offering licensing models, and we're actually in a negotiation right now for Africa, for example, or for the Asian continent. We could give out licenses. We could help them transfer production, and then they could basically produce and launch on that license. We would get some upfront technology transfer fee and then some ongoing license fees, and we would continue to support that, of course. But we're not, basically planning to establish a distribution network in all continents. So our business plan is we basically want to be a technology or continue to be a technology innovator. We're also going to be developing another 100 kilowatt large application. So we don't want to go into manufacturing. We have established over the last 6 years a great network of suppliers worldwide that build components, and outsource it to one company. It's split into, dozens of companies that supply individual parts or actually systems that are pre-assembled and deliver to us. So we don't have large investment in capacity and use existing suppliers. And that model will roll out into continents where they license that model. We help them transfer the know-how, and then they can basically sell it in their specific territory, licensed territory accordingly. So that's kind of our business model. Again, we're looking for $3 million to basically finance that rollout. We got to finalize with those suppliers being nominated in different countries. It flows with the certification at the IAC certification that includes quality management, so that actually includes the quality process of the suppliers. We can't complete that until all the suppliers are nominated basically in the certification protocol.
Great. Okay, any other questions for Hagen? Hagen, do you want to say a last couple words before we move on? Thanks for a great presentation.
Absolutely. I have a question, sir.
Sure.
Any interest in the UAE?
Actually, UAE is certainly a territory we would be interested in. There's a few good wind areas throughout the Middle East, and if somebody is interested in basically being a partner of ours for the UAE, for before, we'd be very happy to entertain that, because again, there really isn't a lot, and it could be a great supplement to solar. And again, it's not applicable to everywhere in the UAE or the Middle East, but there are some good wind areas. We've done some research across the Middle East, and I could share that data with you if you're interested in entertaining that.
Excellent. Well, Hagen, again, thanks so much. We'll share this with anybody who contacts me privately, either through chat or email, and I'll make sure that they get your information. So sure appreciate you being with us.
Absolutely. And I have my website.
I think
I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Go ahead, Hagen.
Sure, absolutely. The website link is in the chat room for everybody, so ChavaWind.com. And there's also an email link, info@chavawind.com. So any questions that come to your mind later, please feel free to contact us.
Great. Excellent.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Brian.
You bet. So Nora with X Compliance is, I think, going to give us some information. Is Nora online now? No, Nora. Okay. We will distribute her information then afterwards. Well, thank you all for coming. It was a great conference. We heard from some fantastic speakers. For those of you that want to stick around and network digitally, you're welcome to put your LinkedIn address or a web address in the chat room for others to use. If you want to send me something privately, you can do so. If it would be either contact information or more information that you'd like to see on one of the presenters, or our future events. As many of you know, we do these weekly, roughly, in different places around the world and with different themes. I hope you'll join me and Steve Brewer on June 30th. We've got a real estate conference coming up. There is a Northern European conference in July, based out of Copenhagen, and then in August we've got a technology, kind of a worldwide technology summit, and all of those are at the website starlightcapital.co. Again, starlightcapital.co. You could see all the upcoming events and register there. Thanks so much. I'll leave the chat room open a little bit longer for those of you that want to share contact or other information. Oh, Nora, I see you in chat. Yes, Nora, please unmute.
I have unmuted.
Oh, now I guess I didn't hear you. Thank you so much. Yes, could we share your screen and you can then go ahead and present? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you or didn't know you were there. Go ahead, Nora.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. I'm very nervous and I hate it anyways, but so I'm going to jump into it.
You'll do great. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okie doke. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm going by Vanessa to make it even more complicated. So I'm using my middle name. I'm presenting X Compliance. It's an online platform. We are 3 partners, me, myself, Christoph, and Alex. All of us have other companies that we already have startups. We are located in Germany and in Gmund am Tegernsee. I'd like to start with a question. What have 30,000 German companies in common? Well, they must comply with continuously changing, incomprehensible, and mostly annoying legal and regulatory compliance requirements. How do they do that? Some don't. They wait until they get audited and fined. I just had a notice that the GDPR is too expensive for small companies on the NTV Germany. Large corporations who have money have yearly high-priced contracts with the Big 5, where often subcontractors, freelancers do the job. And smaller companies do not even know what exactly they have to comply to. What's the solution to this dilemma? We make compliance sexy and affordable. That's our goal. X Compliance offers a platform for top-tier independent on-demand auditors, compliance specialists, and lawyers. Just like lawyers online, we are doing compliance online. This way we can save costs, reduce the CO2 footprint, and enable those who cannot or would not like to travel to also be compliance consultants. We offer long-term relationship. That's our business model with short-term assignments, which makes it affordable. And our goal is to present the right expert with the right expertise in the right country for any sized compliance needs. We love automation, and therefore we already have a small compliance tool. We sadly have only the prototype yet prepared, but it's very exciting. It's a compliance checker, which can analyze it's just a health checker. You tell them the size of your company and what business you are in, and it tells you what compliance requirements you have to comply to. We are dreaming, obviously, about the full automated compliance monitoring, which constantly checks and changes the changes in international compliance settings and would avert our customers, allowing them a proactive and appropriate reaction before the problem becomes a gap. For that, exactly, we would like to also have an investor. Why do we do this? Compliance checker and the platform, because we think that the increased cost of compliance will drive eventually the RegTech market to go digital. And we want to be in there. We want to be the first ones who succeed. The RegTech market is valued 2.87 billion in 2018, and it's estimated already to change 52% to go up. And what's in for cooperation, families, and planet? These are things that I really am concerned about. With putting compliance on a digital platform, we enable flexible work hours, home office, international availability. We are saving costs for corporations by reducing the operational costs, travel, entertainment, and we also do the CO2 footprint reduction. We have licensed experts that is in contrary to other companies who offer online consulting. We have a full-blown onboarding process with background checks and references, and also everybody is tapping on the international market of experts. How does it work? We created a platform where customer can hop on, find an expert, discuss with us the project size, we can estimate it, find and connect him to the right expert or experts, which is a unique thing that we can actually deliver online collaboration between lawyers and auditors, which is often the case in compliance. And the customer eventually can pay in one invoice everybody to the rates that they have very easily. We would like to become the first and unique stop shop for compliance resources and products in Europe. Our use case number one is banking. These are bigger companies. Banks, for instance, have 3 times a year, 2 or 3 times a year, depending on the risk type. They have to recertify access, risks, and controls. And that's each time 108,000 euro worth of project. And this is very good for them if we can give them, when they are ready, an expert, they can do the job. And then maybe there is a month, August, for instance, is a very tricky time where everybody's on vacation. So it would be good with companies in August, they don't hire consultants because they know that nobody in-house is available. Use case number 2 is small business solutions. We can, for 2,400 euro, no expert leaves the bed in the morning for 2,400 euro. But if you can do that online, and if you have a lot of customers, and you can have a lot of times 2,400 euros, then you can get quality experts doing the job. And this is a big gap that it's a tragedy, but it's true. 61% of companies have not started GDPR implementation in 2019. Why? Because they simply don't have the money, or they think they have to hire big 5 companies for a lot of money. We also are very excited about smart compliance. Our platform is constantly upgraded to the latest of the greatest technology to ensure that the access is safe, and also the collaboration is safe, and the payment, obviously. And this is also blockchain is one of our areas where we consult in. How much would we like to raise? It's our first investment that we financed ourselves the past 2 years alone. We would like to have 500,000 euro to create the compliance checker beyond the prototype, first version. We would like to invest in marketing and sales, go to trade shows, and also improve a little bit our platform and with features and improvements. I hope you liked the presentation. I am done and I made it.
Yay, Vanessa, thank you so much. Great presentation. I know I've spent some of my life in compliance in the US securities industry, and it's painful. And boy, really in need of automation. So thank you so much. Why don't you go ahead and stop your screen share, and then let me get to some of the chats. And would anybody like to unmute first to ask Vanessa any questions?
Okay, good.
Okay, great. Let's see, hearing nothing initially, let me jump in and say, Vanessa, what, it sounds like compliance is not going away anytime soon, and automation is really needed. Are you, and I know you're focused on kind of the GDPR and other areas. Tell us a little bit about what are some of the fastest growing areas in your markets.
The fastest growing area in my market is IT compliance. For instance, it's incredible, interesting that I'm specialized in banking and pharmaceutical industry, and 2018 in February, the BAIT came out, which is normally banks have to comply to the regulatory requirements, and they figured out that, wow, in the meantime, banks are on IT systems. So what about if the IT systems go down? What about all the information? So the BAIT is for the banking, the VAIT is for the insurance companies. And so finally, regulators are in discovering that the IT compliance is an extremely important area because it's vulnerable. So yes, maybe you have your financial compliance sorted out, but what if somebody is penetrating you, or is actually your IT people in your consultants have too much access and they download valuable information. And so I think that this will be the fastest growing market. These two things, the penetration from outside, ensuring that you are safe, and inside the IT, that's the two that I think will increase in the next years, as this is where the most of the money is in. Regardless what regulation, what industry you are in, it's always the same. Everybody uses computers and everybody has IT. That's it, and everybody has access. So access is big deal.
Good. All right. Can you, another private chat that's come in asked, can you talk to us a little bit about the challenges of attracting and retaining staff? Every company, wants to get great employees for, a little bit of money, but what are you finding in your industry since you have to rely on specialists? Is it difficult, easy? Is it expensive? How do you attract and retain talent?
It is expensive, and most of the time I think the problem is that you do not get the right expert. I have a lot of, I'm since over 20 years in the consulting business. I have large multinational, international clients, and always the problem is that you hire a consulting firm and the consultants are learning on the job, because either they don't know the computer software or they don't know the requirement, and then they're working themselves in it, and you pay for it as a company. We would enable to get, if you have 5 different requirements, then we would enable to get the right person. So it's difficult. I think you should go away for compliance to hire people, because it's impossible to learn everything and to do also the job. It would be more efficient for companies to say, oh, good Lord, now something changed in this regulation. Oh, fine, we get a consultant and he does the job and he goes away. This would really be the best, to hire an expert for the time when you need it, and they go away. Are you still here?
Great, great. Any other questions of people that want to unmute at this point? Okay, let's keep going. Vanessa, can you give us a little bit of an overview again about what an investor would get? Again, remind them if you're raising equity, debt, and kind of what kind of a capital partner are you looking for?
Well, you are catching me here I don't know what to answer. I'm looking for capital, and I'm looking for somebody who, I have no problem with it if somebody wants to also support us, because I would like to really to go more into the research area for the compliance checker, because I know exactly, I have the vision, I know what is needed, I know how everybody could use it, and therefore I'm looking for equity and for support for our business.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much for that fantastic presentation, an area that's growing and I'm sure is not going to recede anytime soon.
No, thank you for having me here and allowing me to present.
Any final comments before we wrap up, Vanessa? Okay, great. Well, thank you all again for attending today. Great, great comments, great session, and hope to see you at one of our other events soon. I'll keep the chat window open a little bit longer for those of you who want to exchange chat messages or other notes. Thank you. Have a good evening or good day, depending upon where in the world you are, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.